All right, guys, here we are, day 3 of the N1 Victory Tournament. We are talking about the show from August 14th. And I'm going to make these videos much quicker, guys, because I don't know why I'm spending an hour or more going over these shows for the tens of views that I get. Don't get me wrong, I love Pro Wrestling Noah, and nothing's ever going to change that. I really appreciate those of you who watch these videos. You have no idea how much I appreciate you because there's so few of you out there that are willing to do it. So thank you. But there's no reason to drone on forever because I really do that to try to hype it. And my hype isn't getting me any more views than I've already got. So hopefully those of you watching will still appreciate what I do. The first match here was Takashi Sugiura versus Kinya Okada. I loved everything about this match. It started off being all about Kinya Okada because this guy goes crazy. I mean, he just puts everything into his matches. But I'm talking about just the first 2 minutes of this match or so where Kinya Okada is just going balls to the wall. But that pretty much changed whenever he tossed Sugiura out of the ring and then drop kicked him as he tried to get back in the ring and then started to kick him like crazy once he did manage to get back into the ring. Okada tried a gut wrench suplex. Sugiura blocked it. Okada kicked him a few more times and nailed it. But then when Sugiura got up, this is when the match just changed on a dime. Sugiura was like, no, bullshit, not taking this anymore. And he went crazy on Okada. Just started with the back mule kick. And guys, Sugiura got him in a headlock that was a killer headlock. Look, can you see this? I don't know how, can you see how Kinya Okada's eye is actually pulled, stretched out? Because that's how hard Sugiura has this headlock locked in. I absolutely love it. Look, you can see it here too a little bit. It's a little blurred, but look at how stretched out Kinya Okada's left eye is. I love this. This is a legitimate headlock, folks. He has got this headlock in. He's got it cranked in. He got it dialed up. Sugiura is a killing machine, and I love it. Look at the exasperated face. You can only see his bottom teeth, but he is in pain. He is in agony. You can say, oh, it's a good sell job, whatever you want to do. But Sugiura is someone not to mess with, and I love this. Now, Kinya Okada does manage to get a little bit of a comeback, but even this back super kick to Sugiura does basically nothing. He does this bridging roll-up pin that he beat Inamura with to get to this N1 tournament, but Sugiura's out of it, clotheslines him, gives him an Olympic slam, and ends the match and wins it. Sugiura is just amazing. I find myself liking this guy more and more. Of course, I'm a Congo guy. I like Nakajima. I like Keno. I like all those guys. I like Funaki. Awesome. But the more I see of Sugiura, and yeah, I've seen him for years, but the more I see of him, the more I like him, the more he's shooting up my favorites list because he's just a no bullshit kind of guy. No bullshit. He'll get in there, he'll beat your ass, and then that's it. Now, he's getting older. I don't know how much time he has left, but I think this just might be a really good tournament for him. And I think I'm going to enjoy every minute. Let's get to the next match. Match 2 was a little weird. Now, that doesn't mean it was a bad match. We're talking about Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. taking on Anthony Green. And Green and Wagner both wrestled like juniors. That's what's weird about it. Actually, in a way, Green wrestles more like a heavyweight than Wagner Jr. does. Now, I know he's a luchador, and that's supposed to be a big difference. He's going to do the high flying and the twisting and the turning. Green does that walking, talking, flying move where he gets up in the corner and twists out to the middle of the rope and dives, and it's a good move. I'm not knocking it in any way, but other than that, for the most part, he wrestles like the bigger guy. He's doing the strikes and the kicks, and now Wagner Jr. does them too, but he's doing the flying stuff more, the running. Here we got the tumble into the corner, the cannonball, if you will. Here we got the frog splash from Wagner Jr. Now this is a little bit, I almost see this as a junior move too, even though it's a grounded move, this stretch move, this octopus move. I'm not knocking either one of these wrestlers. I just feel like they wrestled the opposite styles. I feel like Green should be the faster, flippy, more type of guy, not complete flippy, but rely on that kind of stuff more, especially against a guy the size of Wagner Jr. But instead, this match was pretty much the opposite. Here's Green laying in strikes, and they get in a striking battle at one point, and it's pretty much even. I don't know. I think it looks like Wagner Jr. should kill Green in a striking battle. And I know some of you are going to hear this and be like, oh, you're just being critical. No, I'm not. Both of these guys are cool. The match was fine. It was a little choreographed for the first half. A little choreographed, especially for Pro Wrestling Noah, especially after just watching Takashi Sugiura go in there and just beat somebody to death with a headlock. Now I got to watch two guys that clearly worked their match out for the first 5 minutes of it or so. Again, doesn't mean it was bad, just not really my thing. And when they settle down and make it look more like a real fight, Green's the heavyweight worker and Wagner Jr.'s the lighter flying guy. Just kind of shocked me. It was just kind of weird. There's Wagner nailing a drop kick and a tope suicida because they're necessary in every single lucha match. Big power bomb out of the corner from Wagner Jr. Here's a cutter from the top rope. And here's the walking, talking, flying move from Green. And here, the end was my favorite part. Not because I didn't really care who won this match. I predicted Green would win. If you go back to my review of this show yesterday, I said Green would win this because Wagner Jr. is returning the favor of beating Fujita. And that's my favorite part about this ending, is that he tried to use the same wheelbarrow roll-up that sloppily used on Fujita that shouldn't have ended the match. They should have continued and ended it later. He tried that again, and I love what Noah did here. I love this. Whether Noah did it, whether these two did it, it doesn't matter. I love that they sort of recognized that that move looked like shit, and it looked like shit here, and Green took advantage of it. I loved that. I loved that Wagner Jr. tried that same shitty wheelbarrow roll-up. It looked shitty again, and Green took advantage of it. I mean, it made Green look smarter than Fujita, but hey, what have you. Now maybe we'll have to see Green get destroyed by Fujita one day. I don't know. I'm not calling for that, but he beat the guy that beat Fujita. Now it's time for Fujita to kill him. But this match, it was fine for what it was. Too choreographed at the beginning. And then the guys sort of reversed roles for the second half of the match. But the ending was great with that wheelbarrow roll-up that looks like garbage, costing Wagner the match this time instead of winning it for him. I like that. Possibly my favorite match of this show, with others to watch, so I could change my mind, obviously. But so far, this was amazing. And of course, it's Masakazu Funaki in it, and Masa Kitamiya. I've been calling for Masa Kitamiya to get a bigger push for quite some time. Honestly, tweeted that he should get the push that his former partner, Michael Elgin, was getting, since Michael Elgin's no longer in Noah, and who knows when or if he'll be back. Give that push to Masa Kitamiya. Could it start here? I mean, the story of this match was... there's no doubt about it that it was Funaki trying to get Masa Kitamiya to submit, trying to get him, he'd knock him out too, but get him submitted, get him worn down, get him stretched out to the point that he could apply that chokehold or chop him hard across the jaw and knock him out. The problem is Masa Kitamiya is short, stubby, and powerful as hell. Now, yes, you got the argument that Funaki is longer and rangier, absolutely, but Kitamiya is so damn strong. Even if you can wrap your big, long arms and legs around him, good luck trying to hold him there. And that was the problem of this match. Funaki could not hold Kitamiya. Not because he's not ridiculously skilled. As Mark Pickering points out in commentary, he's the only man in history to have defeated Ken Shamrock, Frank Shamrock, and Bass Rutten by submission. And if you don't know those three names, freaking Google them and learn something. That is an amazing statistic. Here, though, and all three of those men are ridiculously strong. So this says to me that maybe Masa Kitamiya is stronger than all three of them. Imagine that possibility, because he's breaking out, he's delivering this knee driver to Funaki, and he's putting him in the prison lock. Now, it was nice. Funaki blocked an attempt at a headbutt by Masa Kitamiya, and I said yesterday's review that Kitamiya wasn't using this headbutt because he probably didn't want to risk it. He didn't want to risk concussion in this tournament, but to beat Funaki, he risked it, but he didn't hit it. Funaki saw it coming and blocked it. That was interesting, and that actually, before long, he was out of the hold. Masa Kitamiya spearing Funaki, just spearing the guts out of him. But Funaki got in this. When he locked this chokehold in, I thought, oh my God, that's it. Nobody gets out of this. Look how that's deep. That's under the chin. Look at the face of Kitamiya. It looks like it is over. But Kitamiya not only gets out of it using pure, raw strength, he then says, nah, enough of this shit, and he hits the Saito suplex. A giant clothesline, and another Saito suplex for the win. Ladies and gentlemen, the win. Taking down the national champion, something I didn't know who was going to do. And Masa Kitamiya, the guy, look, you all know I love Funaki, and I'm a Congo guy, but I love all these wrestlers. And seeing Kitamiya finally being used in a way that's impressive, finally being used in a way that says, damn, this guy's strong as an ox, my God, is awesome. And I think it's a hint that maybe he'll get the Michael Elgin push, and I hope that it is. And not that I like to see my man Funaki lose. He's so amazing. And like I said, a year older than me. But man, watching the rise of Masaki Kiamia in this tournament after losing his first match, very impressive. And I love it. Guys, this was another great match. This was a battle. This was a fight. I loved this. Satoshi Kojima versus Jack Morris just came across as two great wrestlers doing battle. No choreography here. No dancing, no joking around, no fooling around. This is just hard-hitting action from the handshake on. This Jack Morris is the real deal. This guy gets in there with anyone. He beat Kaito Kiamia in his first match. I think that's because Kiamia overlooked him. I really do. Satoshi Kojima is not overlooking anybody. Jack Morris did... I mean, this was just 100% back and forth. Jack Morris is way more powerful than you might think he is, even though he has a ridiculously conditioned body and looks like an amazing athlete. You still might think that Kojima would overpower him, but that is not the case here. Kojima did sort of turn it around when he got his machine gun chops in, and he must have laid these in harder on this guy than anybody, because this guy went to his knees. Jack Morris down to his knees after that. Kojima coming in with a lariat in the corner, his flying elbow drop, which I think has been looking better in this tournament. Not a big fan of the flying elbow drop from Kojima. I think he's a little bit old to be delivering it. But in this tournament so far, they've looked pretty good. Jack Morris here with the tope suicida and the top rope brainbuster, the avalanche brainbuster, if you will. But Kojima fighting back. He gets all his stuff in here. He gets his DDT, as you saw earlier, his flying elbow. There's Jack Morris with a big drop kick to the face, literally to the face of Kojima. This was a great spot. Morris is getting up on the top rope. Don't know what he's going to do, but he's in a seated position, getting ready to do some type of maneuver. Kojima gets up, wakes up, rouses up, and charges him and lariats him, clotheslines him off the top rope to the outside of the ring. That was brutal. That gave Kojima the opportunity to hit another one of his moves, his cozy cutter, and he takes him down. But a great spine buster that Arn Anderson would be proud of from Jack Morris, followed by more brainbuster suplexes, a falcon arrow, and Kojima with a twisting suplex, brainbuster. I struggle to call these things brainbuster, guys, even though I know they do in Japan. And finally, he just hits the lariat, the ridiculous lariat that almost took Morris completely out of his boots. I mean, I can't stress this enough. Morris put up a fight like you wouldn't believe. I thought he might be on his way to victory here since he defeated Kiamia. I thought he'd be able to defeat Kojima. Not the case. Kojima, your winner here, just looked really good, but so did Jack Morris. This is how a wrestling match, if you want to know what pisses me off about modern wrestling, and when I talk about it being choreographed and cooperation, you want to know what a match looks like that doesn't make me feel that way? This is the match. This is the match. I'm not saying this is going to be the match of the night. I'm just saying this is a perfect wrestling match. It didn't look cooperative. It didn't look like it was choreographed. It looked like two guys out to kill each other. Two guys out to take each other out. Two guys giving every ounce of their ability to win a match. And one guy standing tall in the end just because he hit a move that took his opponent out. Perfectly executed. Simple as that. What another wonderful match. What a great night this is turning out to be. Night 3 of the N1 tournament. August 14th saw Goji Ozaki take on Masaki Mochizuki in a, I don't know about masterpiece, but it is wonderful. They started out shaking hands with Mochizuki taking Goji Ozaki down. I came into this not knowing a whole lot about Mochizuki. I mean, vaguely, because he's in Noah, but he's also in Dragon Gate, and I don't follow Dragon Gate. Okay? And I just don't want to. And I knew him from the M's Alliance. I knew he's a good wrestler, but I didn't know a whole lot about him. But out of these matches, I have come to develop a high level of respect for him because he's a thinking man wrestler. And I love that. He went into this with a plan. And the plan was to get Goji Ozaki to bow up and be the cocky, arrogant sucker he can be at times whenever you challenge him to a chop fest. He knows he's one of the best choppers in the world. We all know that. I mean, it is the truth. But he is so arrogant. And we saw that in his match on the last show with Anthony Green, I believe it was. And we saw it again here, but Mochizuki took advantage of it. He saw Ozaki hit the ring post against Green. So he took him out and challenged him to chop him. He did. once or twice. Then Mochizuki moved, and Shiozaki hit the ring post again. Now, this time, Mochizuki did what I said Green should have done. Green did it a little bit, but nowhere near as much as he should. Mochizuki worked this hand over all match long. Put it on the post and kicked it, slammed it into the ring apron, just countless times. Then he got in the ring and wanted to have another chop fest with Shiozaki because it just continues to set him up. When Shiozaki obliged, when Mochizuki bared his chest and said, "Hit me with your best shot, bitch," and Shiozaki did, Mochizuki blocked it because he knew his hand was already hurting, and it hurt it even further. When Mochizuki took him down, he worked on the hand. Now, technically, you're not allowed to work on the small joints, like the hands and stuff like that. But he still did it in a way, like around the wrist, pressing into the palm, and behind the referee's back, he worked the fingers over. Mochizuki really came in here with a plan. Shiozaki, in his, I don't know, confidence, arrogance, whatever you want to call it, continued to use that messed up hand to chop and to do other things. And I think it simply took a lot of the sting out of it and allowed Mochizuki to fire back with like knees to the chin and stuff like that. There he is working the hand over, like I told you. He really knew what he was doing here. You can see Mochizuki's chest, even right there, is ridiculously blistered up and such, but he's still working over Shiozaki's hand because as Stu Fulton said, if you take away Shiozaki's chops, you take away his life force. And that's a pretty big deal. There he is working the hand over again. Mochizuki always coming in with a plan. In his first matchup, his plan was to work over the reconstructed knee of Hideki Suzuki. In his second matchup, he worked over the midsection, the guts, the innards of Keno. And in this match, he knew if he could work over Shiozaki's hand, he might get a victory here. And it did enable him to wrestle Shiozaki incredibly well. Not that he's not a great wrestler anyway, but I think it really took Shiozaki down a level. I think it really took some of his confidence away. You see him getting kicked in the head here. Now, he did hit the Go Flasher. Go Shiozaki pulled it out and hit the Go Flasher, but did not get the pin. Then started hitting spinning chops. Again, using that hand to hit the ring post. I'm not so sure how smart that was. He hits a spinning clothesline and follows that with a Fisherman Buster suplex. Because Joe Shiozaki's looking great, but none of that got the pin. And I really think it's because that hand wasn't at full strength, that arm, that wrist. Shiozaki is in the corner, and we see Mochizuki get a big, high German suplex on Shiozaki, but they're both down. There's no pin count here. They are both exhausted. They have both spent all of their energy, but someone must prevail. They must get back up. Mochizuki again gets Shiozaki locked up, working over that arm, working over that wrist, and that hand whenever he can. But Shiozaki bears up, bowls up, and Mochizuki just basically falls off of him here. I mean, he slammed him, I guess, but it basically just fell out of the hold here. And Shiozaki hits him with one of his lariats, but that didn't get the job done. Isn't that interesting? But to his credit, Shiozaki had to pull out his bag of tricks and resort to this move, which has a name, and I can't think of it. Sorry, I should probably use a notepad. But he locks in this hold on Mochizuki, having to do it, having to resort to something else other than the lariat, goes backwards with it into the suplex and gets the win. A great match, just like the one before this. This was a wrestling match. This was straight up. This is what Pro Wrestling Noah is. Once in a while, they sneak in a match. It's a little choreographed. It usually involves a gaijin or two, and I don't hate them for it, but that's not what Pro Wrestling Noah is about, and I wish everybody would get that, including the gaijins. Pro Wrestling Noah is about making your match look like a fight, and I absolutely cherish, love, and adore wrestling matches like this and companies that feature. I wish it was all wrestling matches like this. Noah's damn close. Because there's just something about it that makes my heart sing. Wrestling done right. Go Shiozaki wins another one. A great one. Guys, I said I was going to try to make these videos shorter, and I am, but bear with me here, because this one's a little bit hard. Hard to make short. Kaito Kiamia versus Katsuhiko Nakajima. I've seen people call this match of the year already. I know Haisami is a big fan of it. I like the match, don't get me wrong, but sit with me here. I try to run this show as much as a fan as I can be, right? And I don't mean... I try not to be a smart mark. I am. I can't avoid that. Whether you think that's a good term or not, I can't avoid it. That's what I am. That's what almost all of us are. If you're watching this show, very good chance you are too. But I try to turn that down. I try to turn it down as much as I can and just watch as a fan. And then if I talk about it on here or on Twitter, you can get criticized. Oh, don't you understand the business? Look, I'm trying to be a fan first and foremost. My smartness to the business comes in secondary. As much as I can keep it back, I try. I want to enjoy wrestling because it's wrestling, not because of what I know about wrestling. Anyhow, think of that. Remember that when I talk about this match. Started out just stalking each other down. The story of this match is the grizzled, mean-spirited, sometimes evil, dark Katsuhiko Nakajima versus the bushy-haired, bright-eyed, fairly innocent Kaito Kiamia. I mean, look, he even changed his look up to look more innocent, I think. The blonde hair, the circusy tights. I don't like the look. I just don't. Kiamia is a great wrestler. I still have nothing against him at all. And I know he's knows his future beyond a shadow of a doubt. But I do not like this look. It's too Final Fantasy for me. You know what I mean? I used to play games. I still have video game systems I seldom play. I play the Quest, the virtual reality one. I like that. But yeah, this is too Final Fantasy looking. He looks like a video game character, and I don't really like it. I don't like it at all. But here, very beginning of the match, Nakajima takes him down, chokes him out. Here's what I'm talking about. Look, based on being a fan, this match was over. Oh, you can say the referee didn't stop it. The referee didn't stop it. Yeah, the referee was ridiculous. And I've seen this happen in Noah before, where somebody sure as hell looks knocked out and the referee keeps it going. I saw it in a Funaki match a couple weeks back. And here it is again. And we're going to see it another time in this match. And people saying, what? Nakajima let go of the hold after a while. And some people were saying that's the story, that he was being arrogant, he was being cocky, and just said to hell with it. Oh, maybe it is. But as a fan, it looked to me like this ref was a little shady. It looked to me like he wasn't going to call this match even though it was over. Look, based on what was shown to us, either live if you were there or to me on a screen, Kiamia was out. He was out. There's no doubt about it. But the ref doesn't stop it. It continues, and Kiamia goes on a barrage of offensive assault. He nails Nakajima with all of his moves. Here's the second time, though. Nakajima gets fed up with it, bites back, knocks the kid out again. He's out here. Look at him. He's crumpled. Nakajima hits that temple slap, that hard open palm strike to the side of the head and the temple to ear, knocks Kiamia out. He's knocked him out before in past matches. Kiamia beat him a few weeks ago with that move. Well, he picked him up and gave him the vertical spike brainbuster after that, but he had him knocked out here. And he had him knocked out here. The referee, again, on all fours, banging the mat. Kaito, like basically trying to wake him up, it looked like to me. He wasn't responding. I didn't hear anything audible out of his mouth. His eyes were still fluttering. What was presented to us here was a knocked out wrestler for the second time in this match. To me. But no, the referee didn't call it once again. And he gets back up and goes on the offensive. Now here, Nakajima's kicking him, trying to take him out. But all of a sudden, here comes the Keiji Muto moves. I mean, that's smart. He inherited these moves from Keiji Muto, the Great Muta, one of my all-time favorite wrestlers, by far, the Great Muta. I didn't get to see him wrestle much as Keiji Muto. I love the Great Muta, though. So he's got the Enziguri, he's got the Shining Wizard, he's got the Figure Four, and he starts pulling them out like crazy. And there was something with Nakajima's knee in this matchup too. He was showing us that so good that there are people out there wondering if he's legitimately hurt. I don't think so. I think he's just that good of a professional wrestler. And Kaito Kiamia worked that over. He worked it over until he got him in the Figure Four and defeated him. I'm a little shook by this. As a fan, calm down and don't start giving me shit. As a fan of Pro Wrestling Noah and of Congo, this bothers me. I felt like what I saw was Kaito Kiamia knocked out twice in this match, and Mr. Referee right there, sorry I don't know his name, giving him chance after chance to recover and come back and eventually win. Nakajima could have still beaten him. Nakajima has an arrogance about him that cost him match, and it hurt him bad in this one. I don't know when that's going to stop. It cost him the GHC title against Fujita. His arrogance, his cockiness. And he's still walking around with it. It doesn't make any sense to me, but hey, it is what it is. And, there's people out there promising me Kaito Kiamia is winning this. That's going to be the story of this. And maybe he is. I don't want to come across like a Kaito Kiamia hater. He's good. And before this look, I liked him a good bit. And I'm not saying this look is making me hate him or anything, but it's sort of like, I struggle to cheer on flamboyant, over-the-top looking weirdos. And I know Kiamia is the same guy and he's still great, but the blonde hair, the Final Fantasy looking tights, I just have a hard time rooting for wrestlers who present themselves like that. Again, I don't want them to, leave the business or retire or get out or anything like that. I'm just sort of like, I'm not hanging that guy's poster on my wall or 8x10. Just a little too goofy looking for me. Just for me and my tastes. So I'm disappointed. One of my favorite wrestlers today, Nakajima, goes down to this guy. Great wrestler, but his new presentation is lacking for me. And what I was presented with was that man being knocked out twice, but the referee letting it go until he came back and won. As a fan, that's how I see it. What a show, guys. I'm telling you what, this third show on August 14th has been incredible, even though my guys went down hard. Congo down. Yeah, I'm spoiling this. Keno loses to Masato Tanaka. This match was like Bruiser Brody versus Stan Hansen. I'm not going to go through all this. I mean, these guys hit each other with everything they had. No, it wasn't the super indie style. That's not what I'm talking about. But every move, and there's Keno. Do you not enjoy what I'm showing you here? Are you not entertained? But no, every basic professional wrestling move and some of their big stuff, but nothing, none of these guys are doing crazy over the top shit, thank God. But everything they have, from sliding D's from Tanaka into the back of the knee, into the back of the head, into the shin bones, into outside onto the side of the head. I mean, and ankle locks and, knees, running knees to the back of the head, and another ankle lock, and hurricane DDTs and super flies, but hit the knees. It was like, and I'm not talking about the exact same style of wrestling, but like when Bruiser Brody and Stan Hansen faced off and just beat the living shit out of each other. That's what this was. That's what this was. I mean, I liked it for that part, but then they're back in each other's faces. Mark and Stu on English commentary said, doesn't it seem like Tanaka's bulletproof? Like he's completely bulletproof. Yes, it did. But it seemed like Keno was too. At one point, Keno gets brain busted. I mean, Tanaka just gives him a big brain buster, but that doesn't do the job. And Stu is like, how does that not keep him down? He goes, well, I guess I'll tell you how. It's Keno. I mean, that's the idea here, but that these two guys are just beating the living. There's these back swinging chops. These guys literally just beat dragon suplexes, beat the living hell out of each other. Look at the look on Keno's face. Look at that kick coming in, that soccer kick, that punt to Tanaka. I mean, this was just brutal. It was just 100% brutal. It was like some of the other matches we've seen. Segura's matches we saw earlier. I just beat the living hell out of Okada. And we saw Goji Ozaki versus Mochizuki. Very much like that, only harder and wilder and more of it. It's like this show built a crescendo. We had the one sort of semi-choreographed match that I didn't love. Didn't hate it, but didn't love it. But other than that, all these other matches built like the fights, the feeling, the oomph behind them were all good. And this was the crescendo. This was the climax of all the fighting that was done in Pro Wrestling Noah. These two topped it off. They gave us, this is actually a move by Tanaka here where he's on the rope and flips over. I think they called it Stardust or something. I know that not the WWE character Cody Rhodes, something like that, where he just flips over and turns that into a diving, a face buster. That's a brain buster off the top rope. There's another sliding D. Both guys are down. We had to reach this point. I'm surprised they both weren't counted out. They got 1 point each or something. I really think that might have been the better move here. Even though I know Tanaka needs a win, but I think that might have been a good move here, just based on how the match was. There's a PFS, Professional foot stomp onto the back of Tanaka. There's a sliding D onto the back of the head of Keno. There's the brainbuster that Keno kicked out of. But he's not going to kick out of another sliding D. And holy crap, Tanaka wins the matchup, beats the GHC heavyweight champion. All my Congo guys are down and out in this show. It's somewhat depressing as a fan. I have nothing against the guys who beat them. Nothing. I don't hate them. I don't like Kiamia's new look, but I don't hate him. But boy, this was a great show. Great fights. I loved everything on the show except for the Green and Wagner Jr. match, and I loved the ending of that. That made up for it. How they ended that match, and I don't mean just who won, but how they took that shitty wheelbarrow roll-up of Wagner Jr.'s from the night before, and he tried to do it here and lost because of it. That made up for anything else they did. I loved that. So overall, this was a 11 out of 10 show. And I can't believe I'm saying that when all my Congo guys let me down with big-time losses. Wow, how sad is that? But this show was solid. This show was great. Maybe the show of the N1 so far out of the 3 nights. And if it keeps getting better, I can't even imagine how good it's going to be by the time we reach the end. But I'll be here to tell you all about it. Thanks for joining me, guys. My preview for the show on the 17th will probably be up real late tonight or sometime tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, because the next show isn't until the 17th. So I actually have some breathing time. I'm going to take it. But my preview will be up tomorrow sometime, as soon as I can get it up. But I don't have to rush to get it done. Isn't that nice? But these shows are great. And thanks for joining me again, guys, and I'll see you real soon.